these are control dramas that people are living out that they may not even be aware of. So you have to, once you become aware of what's going on with you, you then have to take everybody else with a grain of salt, because you are now on the path of mastering your thoughts, emotions, and actions so that you can be the best person that you are. Not everybody else is playing that game.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Warrior's Way Home podcast.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Travis here with my co-host Edmund. We are Warriors Way Home with the Warriors Way Home podcast. All right, guys. So today we are talking about another book. We finished the Zokudo in a couple podcasts ago. Great podcast with that. Great information with that.
Great series.
Great series, man. It got deep.
It did.
It got deep, and we accidentally got another deep one because we were having a conversation and started talking about a book called The Celestine Prophecy. If you guys have not read this book, highly suggest it. It has a lot of information in it, as far as the way we act, the way we do things,
how the world's set up,
the way we even exchange energy between each other, and just our relationships, and just conversations to arguments to relationships, whatever it may be. It's really, and one of the things that it really focused in on that hit both of us when we were talking about it was something called your control drama. So with the book, it's the fifth insight, right? Or is it fourth? Fourth insight.
So
I'm trying to skip ahead.
No, it's so the Celestine Prophecy is a book written by James Redfield. Basically, what it does is it follows a guy who is trying to make major changes in his life, and it follows his journey from kind of like an impromptu trip to Peru as he is discovering what it means to be a human on Earth, and kind of the future of that. So it gets real deep, but what we liked about it is that what it does is it highlights about eight and a half, really, eight and a half different insights that you can take on individually and start to break it apart and understand how you kind of fit into really the matrix of the universe, how everything is set up, how you interact with people, how did you grow up, what does it mean to have the family that you have. It's a really deep book, and the insight that stood out to us the most was the control dramas, because it is annoying how effective it was at really getting to the core of why we act the way that we act. The four control dramas as laid out in the book is what is called the intimidator, the interrogator, the aloof, and oh woe is me. And
woe is me.
Yeah, and what these are, if you're familiar with psychology, these are called archetypes of the type of behavior or the trauma that you grew up with. And it really hammers it home how we can become self-aware and kind of get ourselves out of that loop, that negative feedback loop that we get when we think about things that happened to us in our past that we're maybe not so happy with.
And so to dig into it, and we'll start, getting into a couple of the pieces. The way it describes some of these, which is pretty basic, but we'll give a little more detail with the intimidator is basically like somebody who basically their interaction with you or with the world in a lot of cases is they put pressure. They tend to be that forceful individual, the one that's like, really kind of getting in your face. The guy you see at the bar, arguing, and when he starts something with somebody, he's the one who kind of starts getting closer to you, puffs up his chest, a little more
getting
of that,
loud,
getting loud, getting,
drawing attention.
Yeah, very much so. That tends to be more of that intimidating style. So, because a lot of these are just basically like personality styles. It's like how you interact with, like I said, the world around you. So the intimidator is, tends to be like that. With the interrogator, I'll let Edmund explain the interrogator.
For sure, and we're gonna go into like good detail with these. So we're actually gonna break them up into 2 episodes. We're gonna talk about the intimidator and the interrogator today, and then the next episode we'll be talking about aloof and oh woe is me.
Yeah.
So, but to go give a general overview of what these things are. So we have the intimidator. The investigator is somebody who is always trying to find out that deeper level of information on something. They're a news reporter.
Yeah.
Maybe they're doctors. Doctors actually ask a lot of questions when they're trying to get to a diagnosis. Like, what do you eat? How do you sleep? How old are you? What's your blood pressure like? All that kind of stuff. They're always asking questions to get to the root of an issue because they're trying to solve something. Then we have aloof.
So perfect example, right? You just made me think of that. Was if you were to take some of these character traits and you put them into different jobs,
Mhm.
for instance, like you said,
Interrogator,
interrogator would
yeah.
be a great news reporter, somebody who does that, investigative news reporter.
Mhm.
Intimidator would be like a WWE wrestler.
Yeah.
Or
a
gets up
fighter
there,
in general for some.
or a fighter. When
Yeah.
they,
Conor McGregor.
Conor,
Yeah.
exactly, yes, Conor McGregor
Yeah.
is like the definition in that role that he plays in the
Mhm.
UFC
Mhm.
as an intimidator. Talks a bunch of
Posturing,
shit,
yeah.
always picking at you, trying to get a rise out of you.
Exactly.
Intimidator to a T. So
Or
we
Mike
got,
Tyson.
yep. So we got intimidator. We got Conor McGregor as the intimidator.
Mhm.
We have the news reporter, the investigative news reporter. Who would be it? I can't think of a news reporter right now.
Lois Lane. Just
Sure. Yeah. There you go.
just
Lois Lane
yeah.
would be
Trying to get the scoop,
investigator. Then we have aloof.
Mhm.
So aloof is basically where somebody who is the mystery person. It's the mystery man. It would be like. Do you remember there was a character on the radio. They called him Shadow. It's like the Shadow knows.
What was it? What show?
So it was a radio. It was an old radio show back in the day that I used to listen to.
Yes, but also you're dating yourself.
Hey, I'm an old soul.
Guess how old Travis
I'm
is.
an old soul.
Listening to radio
actually,
shows.
I'm actually 89. And still got it.
Right.
But yeah, we're gonna cut that out of there.
No, we're leaving that. No, but somebody who is aloof, I would probably say is more like Yoda. If we're sticking with just like fictional
that makes sense. Okay,
so
Yoda would be a good example. So aloof,
somebody who talks in riddles.
so aloof is somebody who basically makes you investigate them to figure out what's going through their mind, what they're feeling, different things like that, where you kind of have to, they almost draw you in to, I almost said they're trapped, but it's kind of basically kind of it's like, it's basically trying to draw you in to figure out more about them, because once you get so curious about them that you want to pursue, like, man, I got to know more about this person because they're just so mysterious. There's, they don't talk about themselves a lot. They know more about me than I know about them. And it just, for people, it draws you in to try and figure out more and more and get more and more in depth with them and who they are.
Right.
That's that type of personality.
I would almost say, like, in high school, the cool kid. Kid that's like always kind of like, he doesn't join any groups or anything. Like, he maybe have like one or two friends, but everybody wants to be his friend. But he like kind of keeps everybody at arm's distance. But like, that's a tactic. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're doing that on purpose because you're trying to get them to give you their energy and find out more about you. Like, what makes you cool? Why does everybody like this kid? I would say that's more aloof, depending on the circumstance. But yeah. And then the last one would be, oh, woe is me, which is the most annoying.
It's my favorite one.
Yeah. Oh, woe is me is somebody who throws a pity party for themselves. It's somebody who constantly is like, why is the world doing this to me? Oh, it's not my fault. Eeyore. Jesus Christ. Eeyore, it was the worst. It's like, who invited Eeyore, bro? Like, or Sadness from Inside Out. That's an animated movie. It's actually really good.
Now, would it be Eeyore or would it be Piglet?
No, Piglet was still a bit more like,
let's
go do stuff. Eeyore was definitely like, oh, I have a nail in my ass. That's cool. Like, it's I mean, so yeah. So those are the four overarching kind of archetypes or personality types that are put, that we want to discuss, because really what happens is that as you're born, you're a clean slate. But as you kind of move through life, the family that you're born into or whatever influences that you had in your community slowly start to build out your personality based off of how they are. You learn from your environment, right? So
and you adapt to it.
So you might end up being an intimidator, an investigator, or so on and so forth, based off of how you were raised. This is how your reaction to the world is actually developed based off of these four archetypes. And your mom could be one thing, your dad could be another, your brother could be the third, your school teacher could be the same as your dad. It doesn't.
And it changes. You're not necessarily going to be necessarily one way all the time. A lot of times people will shift. Maybe there are two, an intimidator and aloof, or maybe they're intimidator and aloof, and then every now and then they're the woe is me. It really depends on the situation, the dynamic you kind of find yourself in. The book goes into detail talking about, like, for instance, If you have a parent that's an intimidator, a lot of times intimidators breed other intimidators.
Yes.
Because the person gets so because there's certain things that where the where certain ones of these interact well together and breed the other. So, for instance, like with the intimidator, a lot of times you get the woe is me.
Yeah.
Because if you're raised by an intimidator, people tend to do the woe is me, because if you can be the woe is me, you get kind of left alone by the intimidator. They're only gonna push so hard.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not all the time, but
Yeah.
sometimes. Like, for instance, like if it's a dad's the intimidator and the daughter's a woe is me,
Yeah.
that's probably more likely to work in that instance versus the son being the woe is me.
Very
That
true.
probably wouldn't
Very
work
true.
out as well.
No.
Is like, so in that case, if it's you're the daughter, you may play the woe is me role so that the intimidator kind of leaves you alone or starts to feel bad or whatever. You can play on their emotions. But if that doesn't work, a lot of times that person by the they get to a point where when they can fight back, they become that intimidator once they grow up or get to a certain point or they just get tired of that shit and they finally pop off and they become that intimidator as well in a lot of those cases. So one kind of tends to breed other versions of it based off of just trying to survive. Sometimes it's based off, it's almost like a survival habit. Is like you develop certain things, just like a gecko or a lizard develops the way to camouflage themselves to try and hide from the rest of the environment. It's the same thing. All these are a lot of times are just ways of trying to survive the dynamics that you find yourselves in.
Yeah. The example that when you say kind of intimidator versus oh woe is me, the example that came to my mind was actually bullying.
Yeah.
Because of people who are a bit more and try to take your emotions out of it, a bit more oh woe is me tend to be weaker. So those who are intimidators, football guys or whatever athletes, they are raised up in society because of their strength and their ability. Yeah. So they pick on those who are smarter because they're weaker than them. Now they intentionally go after that person, and it's predatory. Yeah, but absolutely. It's another thing that breeds that oh woe is me, or even aloofness, because like we said, these all go into each other. I've been in situations where I've been around intimidators, and it made me aloof. Aloofness is that like we said, it's you're not trying to be involved too much. Like okay, perfect example. Instead of being vague, let's kind of get down to it. Let's start with intimidator and kind of work our way through, which we've been doing. So with the intimidator, I've been around people who like to argue. They like to be toxic. They like to be loud. They like to be face of the life of the party or whatever you want to call it. And because it was the type of person who would follow, if they wanted to argue with you, they'd follow you around. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, you're gonna talk to me. Those are
the best.
Yeah, like you're gonna give me the attention, and I'm gonna win whatever this exchange is. Because let's be honest, this is about taking energy. These the reason why we're bringing these up is because these are about energy exchanges. It's about what if this world is based on competition. How can I get what I exactly? And the book talks about that as well. How do I get the energy that I need from you or whatever the source is, whatever that person is, man, woman, or child, good, bad, or indifferent.
Even environment. Man versus wild.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? How do I get that from you? So you have, just for as an example, alpha men. They are this is the way things should be. I want, this and that. My woman's got to do this or that. It's an intimidating thing, but they are using that energy for power because they're still getting that energy for it.
Yeah.
Those are the type of people, in my experience, that will be the ones where like you bump into them and then they're yelling at you and all you say like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that, and they're still in your face. They want that energy from you.
Yeah.
I was around so many intimidators growing up, I became aloof. Because I didn't want to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you because that's wasted energy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take my ball and I'm gonna go home, because if I get to a point with you in the conversation where you won't let me talk, you won't let me get my point across, you're yelling, like improve your argument, don't raise your voice. It's all these tactics that try to get you to just give up, and you are surrendering your energy to them at that point. And for intimidators, it's almost not enough just to win. They have to gloat with it. You know what I'm saying? So I will completely, you know what? You got it. I'm done. I'm not going to argue with you because it's wasting energy. You are literally taking my most precious resource from me by trying to engage me that way.
For sure. I mean, a lot of intimidators will argue with a brick wall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the end of the day, it's not really about what you have to say or what even happened. A lot of times, it's you meet and we've all met those people who like will keep pushing something even if you walk away and you're not listening anymore,
Exactly.
or you just kind of blink out and they'll just keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again. It's like they're not
Until
really
it's
trying.
full.
They're not really trying to get an answer from you.
Mm-mm.
They're not trying to even get like an apology or whatever from you.
Mm-mm.
It's like they're just trying to just push.
Mm-hmm.
It's like at the end of the day. The way I grew up, I actually had a bit of a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was my stepdad was definitely 100% an intimidator. 100%. He may have thought of himself as an interrogator. He was not. It's full on intimidator to the extreme,
Mm-hmm.
to the extent that nothing else I really tried with him really worked. The woe is me definitely didn't work. Is that you did not do as a male child.
Mm-hmm.
You did
Be a
not do
man.
you did not do the woe is me thing. That shit didn't fly. You're not getting any kind of sympathy for that whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So that didn't work. Being aloof really didn't work either, to be honest with you, because he would just keep pushing so much that it's just like you're gonna answer.
Right.
You trying to just like not answer or anything like that is like it's not gonna fly.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna demand that energy exchange. You're gonna give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
And in that type of relationship where it's where it's father son or stepfather son, is that you can push so much harder and pull almost forcefully that energy out of somebody because you force that in to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the investigator, you definitely didn't do that shit at all.
Yeah.
It's like if you want to end up on a board on the Walmart with missing on it, that's
going
what
on
you
a
do.
T-shirt, good buddy.
Yeah. We'll miss you.
Right. Prayer hands and all.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
So for me, it ended up where it was like I was that kid that once I got older started to lash out and had that anger and was intimidator in situations that I found myself. Not all situations, but when it got to that point, was an extreme intimidator in a lot of cases. If we got into an argument and I was outside the house and let's say we were just out and about, me and you were hanging out, and somebody else gets involved and starts arguing with me about something, I'm gonna be at first I would be aloof, not really bug with it, be like, man, it's like not paying you any attention. But when it gets to a certain point, it will be that snapping point, and that intimidator will fully come out of me. Like no doubt whatsoever. I'm in your face. We're getting at it. We're getting active now, from 0 to 60. Boom. And it was just one of those things that it was that buildup, and I didn't realize it till later on that. Honestly, till later on, I started hearing myself say things, and I'll be like, I sound just like him. Holy shit. And realizing that actually had a major effect on me, because in certain situations, it wouldn't even get to like a huge extreme. I would just be like scolding somebody, talking to them, or like a family member, something like that. Or I've even had it happen where I was talking to my mom, where I was like saying something, and I started getting so intense with it. I was like, what am I doing? I was like, I sound just like him right now. I'm like, oh, I need to figure this shit out. And so it's really easy to kind of fall into that frame of mind when you're in there. So like I said, these really do kind of breed these things, and I really want you guys to be thinking about like, okay, who the first thing it tells you in the book is like, what were your parents?
Right.
To define what your parents are. So I had the intimidator as a father. My mom was on the opposite side of the spectrum. Not the opposite, but she was aloof. She was one who you didn't really know what she was thinking, didn't really know what she was feeling. With him, you knew. I'm mad. Well, that's fucking obvious.
Right.
With her, you had to dig, you never really knew, really cool, calm, and collected, cool like a cucumber, really never knew where she was. But then you also had my real dad, who was an investigator, who would just dig and dig and dig and dig and dig and dig to try and get the answers out of you that he wanted. And so that made a very interesting dynamic for me growing up. So I had the that intimidator part of myself, and I had the aloof part of myself because of my dad. I just would just shut down. You're gonna have to dig with me. It's like you're not gonna get the answers you're looking for.
I feel that.
So, and then with my mom, I had to be the investigator. to try and figure out exactly what was going on with her.
Mhm.
And honestly, when we got to the point where the investigator didn't work, that's when the intimidator would come out with
Mm.
people. That's what I find. When the investigator doesn't work, then intimidator would come out.
Mhm.
So it made it, like I said, it really makes you, when you're looking at these things, really take a look at yourself,
Mhm.
not just the other people around you,
Mhm.
because you can't do anything about changing other people. Your dad, your mom, your parents, grandma, you can't change any of these people. You have to look at you. How is this affecting you
Right.
in this instance?
For me, it was again. I turned out to be aloof for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Now I tend to be more of an investigator. And
Mm-hmm.
um, let's talk about the ways to, before we get into really what it is to be an interrogator, because you notice that, or what I noticed, because I'm already trying to change my mindset when it comes to these terms.
Mm-hmm.
Investigator isn't the right term; it's interrogator, but it's because we've talked about this.
Oh yeah,
We want to be able
we did
to,
start doing that, didn't we?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we,
Investigative reporter terms,
yeah,
yeah.
the reason why we want to bring these up as well is because this may be drama or trauma that we're looking at, like the source of it, but it's also really important to realize that these don't have to be negative things. These don't have to be negative personality traits.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are an intimidator, well, you know what? We'll save that for the end as like action items.
Mm-hmm.
But I just kind of realized what we're talking about here. So if you're an intimidator, so many I words. If you're an intimidator, it also means you're a generator. It means that you're somebody who is trying to be on the go or has the energy to put that towards something positive. You're, by you trying to like beat somebody down with your rightness, if you put that energy into something constructive like a personal project or trying to get into, I don't know, maybe a leadership role after maybe some therapy, you know what I'm saying? You can drive people to do something positive, but it doesn't necessarily have to be intimidating. Like David
Yeah.
Goggins is the perfect example because he can be very intimidating to people.
Yeah, he can come off intimidating for sure.
But
Absolutely.
Mike
Tyson,
Mike
another
Tyson.
one.
But look how many people both of those men inspire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they inspire people to get into the gym and be their best selves and think of themselves as higher than what they are now, or to get out and truly start to do the work that it requires to get into the shape that you want to be in, or find out more knowledge about yourself, or get the diet that you want. All these things that you can do to better yourself, they're generators of that energy, and it just can be intimidating to people.
Well, and those intimidators also do the same with themselves. That same energy they bring to you,
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of them bring that same energy to themselves. Like
For
David
sure.
Goggins, perfect example. He's
Mhm.
talked about the accountability mirror and really going on being brutally honest with himself, just like he would do with somebody else, probably more.
Right.
It's like you're being stupid right now. You have a third, you read at a third grade level. Maybe you look at yourself. You're like, man, you're fat. You're sloppy. You don't do what you say you're gonna do. Da 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 da. It's that same kind of energy
Right.
that they bring out to the rest of the world, but they use it for a different reason.
Mhm.
It's like, and a lot of that pushes them to be the very best at
Right.
a lot of the stuff that they do,
Right.
because they have that mindset. And like you said, it gets into that more of that generating, to where they can generate that success and that achievement, because they use that as almost like fuel,
Right.
to push themselves further.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, moving on to, or kind of diving deeper into the interrogator. This is where I find myself, because I had spent, I would say my dad was aloof, and more of, if we're keeping it at one, he was more aloof. Not be, and it was more because my parents split up when I was young, and I was able to remember that. So he went from kind of seeing him all the time to like seeing him on weekends or whatever. But I knew he was always doing something,
Yeah.
and I was always trying to be a part of that. So his aloofness drew me in more, but it was more circumstantial, and maybe some people can kind of identify with that because of the way America's relationships status is set up. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of broken homes. So one parent may end up being aloof because of the situation, but, and this is very important, I would say, for moms actually, or if you find yourself in my position where your dad wasn't around you all the time, it makes you want to go see him more.
Yeah.
So, and by keeping your child away from the father, it actually makes them want to have that peace in their life even more, which may draw attention from them.
Mm-hmm.
because now it's this thing I can't have. And everybody knows if there's something that you can't have, you want it more.
Oh yeah.
And that especially attention from a parent.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, and my mom was more of an investigator slash intimidator. Like I said, she wanted to raise men, and she felt
Mm-hmm.
like she had to do that by herself. She felt that way.
Yeah.
But so it required her to be a bit more strict in certain areas, especially when it came to education and etiquette and all that type of stuff. But she was also an investigator because if you were doing something you weren't supposed to do, she was gonna find out about it, especially if it was in school or running around with friends and all that
Yeah.
type of stuff. So that became that impressed upon me aloofness and interrogator, because I wasn't getting the attention that I wanted from the people around me. So then I became aloof so that they would be more drawn to me.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't always work that way, but it
Yeah.
worked with other people, because then it's like, well, what are you about? Because everybody else is doing something you're not.
Mm-hmm.
And then to pivot attention from me, I became an interrogator. Tell me about you. People really only care about themselves for the most part anyway, and they want to talk about themselves. So in order to get attention off of me, I would ask you questions about yourself, and I still do that.
Mm-hmm.
And
I call it
actually,
emotional judo.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. How's your day? Oh, I'm fine. How are you? And then like, I don't care. You don't care about my day for real. So like, let me just go ahead and ask you, well, how you feel about your day? How's your day? Let's talk
How's the
about you.
family?
How's the family?
How's the
I do
life?
that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, how's the wife and kids? Like whether they got it or not, because
Mm-hmm.
then you just seem more interested in them about
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
definitely. And with that, um, with the interrogator,
Mm-hmm.
you get and we've kind of touched on it accidentally, is like you get the investigator.
Yeah.
The other side of that coin of interrogator is you have that investigator. It's like because a lot of times we tend to get into that interrogation where we have to kind of almost deal with aloof people pulling that out of you. If you do that long enough, you get really good about finding stuff out about people.
Yeah.
And not necessarily in a bad way, but it's like for instance with me, like even with clients, between training and massage, everything like that, I find out so much more than probably their last trainer did or anything like that,
Or even their partner.
or even their partner, about what's going on, what's actually going on with them, stuff that they maybe didn't even, I'm not gonna say didn't mean to share, but it's just stuff in just asking questions. You can you figure out ways to dig a little deeper to where people are willing to offer that information to you. Like it's like, okay, so you had this car accident. It's like, well, what happened after that car accident? What happened with this? Oh, you hurt your leg. It's like, well, how long did you do the physical therapy with this? It's like, okay, well, did that work? How did you feel about that physical therapy? Nobody ever asked them how
You're
they felt.
just doing your
It's
job.
like nobody ever asked me that question before. It's like, well, I felt like this. It's like, okay, well, when you felt like this, what happened with this? What was going on with the other side? Damn, nobody even asked me that question either. And you start learning how to ask the right questions because you've been, dealing with people who you had to really kind of dig to find out the information that you really want, and you figure out how to, okay, this path isn't getting me to the answer I want. Let me try this path. It doesn't like anybody's gone this way. And you try it that way, and you're like, now I'm getting somewhere, starting to get the answers I want. And you just figure out how to really just dig deeper and really just be able to develop a better rapport with people in a lot of cases than most people can do. And they're just like, I've been talking to you for 30 minutes. It feels like I've known you forever.
Right. So you're talking about yourself. Like, but it's not it. But you see, even in that interaction, it's like I haven't known you that long, and I feel like I've known you forever. I didn't say shit about me. We talked about you the whole time, and you feel super comfortable now. So then now I have the ability to. It's being an interrogator is kind of wild because people get to know you, but they don't get to know you. They get to know what you can do for them, but they don't get to know you, which kind of sucks. But also, it's like, well, that's the point, right? I'm being aloof by asking you all the questions, and then you're tired because you give me all this energy. Now you don't have the energy to talk to me about me.
Yeah, but that can kind of get into the dark side of things, which I guess what we'll touch on now is where when you're trying to gain energy like that, you end up having very one-sided relationships.
For sure.
Because on a bad side of that thing is like I've even had women that I've dated that were like, you know everything about me, but I don't know anything about you. And at the end of the day, is like now that I am where I am, this is years later down the line, I'm like, I never had a real relationship with these ladies. They knew nothing about who I really am. Is that because I never shared that with them?
Mm-hmm.
I would just be like, well, I don't know anything about you. Oh, well, just ask questions. I'm an open book. No, because
Yeah.
I was not an open book. I was a book they had to pry the fuck open because I
Mm-hmm.
was being aloof.
Mm-hmm.
But I was using my interrogator to find out everything about them to make the, and they felt very comfortable with me in doing it. It's just, it becomes a natural thing.
Now, whose
But
fault? Well, I guess fault is not the right word, but who? Where
mine,
does
mine,
you think
I
so?
take full responsibility in that because it was my choice
Mm.
to interact that way. It was my choice
Fair enough.
to be aloof
Accountability.
with somebody who I was supposed to be having a relationship with.
Mm.
This is somebody who, if I'm dealing with you in this way, I should be comfortable enough to actually open up and share these things with you, or I shouldn't be dealing with you at all. It's like at a certain point, if you've been with somebody, especially longer term, it's like you should be open enough to be able to share some of these things with people about who you really are, and be able to do that. Be able to do that, even if they don't ask you the questions.
But I say, what if they don't? What if they never say? Because when if somebody asks you a question, even
Mm-hmm.
in just like a casual conversation, doesn't part of you feel obligated to then mirror that back to them? You ask me about you, or you ask me about me. Let me ask something about you as common courtesy. But I guess not everybody thinks that way. Again, people like to talk about themselves,
Well, and that works
but they have to
if
take their accountability
you're
too.
not doing the emotional judo.
Yeah.
That works if you're not always shifting, though, when they do ask questions, because I've done it, is that when they do ask questions, you start flipping it and talking about them.
Nah.
Because aloof people naturally do that.
Right.
Is we tend to flip that question when you start trying to dig a little deep on us, even if it's not like really deep questions, we tend to flip that real hard
Mm-hmm.
and be like, oh, and next thing you know, we're talking about you for an hour. Is it because I felt the direction and the energy starts shifting towards where you were asking me things about me, and I don't feel comfortable doing this. I'm just gonna flip it and start asking you questions about you.
The only thing
So
they know about you is he's a good listener, and then that's enough.
yeah,
For a lot of people, that's
yeah.
enough.
Well, and over time, it's like if you keep doing that over time, people are not gonna. They'll try to pry, but it's one of those things where they kind of know they're only gonna get so far with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this. Oh, maybe that's just the way he is. Is like, but then they actually figure out that it's like they didn't know me at all.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, and that was my revelation in this whole thing was none of these women knew who I actually really was.
Mm-hmm.
I shared like the bare minimum with them. I wouldn't even say I'm not gonna say like, oh, the bare minimum to sleep with them or anything like that. Nothing crazy like that, but just the that bare minimum of who I am, emotionally, mentally, different things like that, my past, different things like that. I was so insecure about these things that I just didn't share them. So it wasn't that they weren't asking. It's just I'm really fucking good at dodgeball.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest thing. Is like with you have the some of these dynamics, it really does affect if you're not aware of this, which now after watching this you can't say that you're not aware of these things
For sure. This
anymore.
is your last cop out ticket
Yeah,
right here.
exactly. So, oh, I didn't know. It's like,
Right.
oh yeah, you did. Yeah,
Right.
this is the words told you so. It's like, so at that point, it's like you have to really look at what your role is in all this, and that's one thing the book was saying was you're here to learn a lesson from what's going on with your parents and
Mm-hmm.
your environment and what you raised in. You were here to, what lesson did you learn from that? Having that mother that was an interrogator and at times an intimidator, having that father that was aloof,
Mm-hmm.
having that stepfather that was an intimidator, having that father that was an investigator and a mother that's aloof. What lessons were
Right.
you here to learn
Mm-hmm.
from that situation? Is like because your parent was like this, well, what was their goal in life? What were they about in
Mm-hmm.
this life? And
Yeah.
that's a lot of what you're here to learn and figure out. It's like, okay, so that all mixed up
Mm-hmm.
kind of started creating who I was in that dynamic. But what was I supposed to learn from that dynamic?
Right. How does the goals or perspectives of these two people
Mm-hmm.
coming together and making me, what am I to learn from both of these people,
Yeah.
and then how do I take the best of both worlds and live my life
Yeah. How do you make it your
to the
own?
best of my ability?
How do you make it your own?
For sure.
And there's good aspects with all that. Like the book gave a couple of examples. Like for instance, I'll use my stepdad and my dad for an example, since we're talking about intimidator and interrogator. With my stepdad being an intimidator, he was also a fucking workhorse. He also he was not, that dude was not afraid to work. He put in that fucking work. He used that same, the way he talked to us, well, I'm pretty sure it was the way he talked to himself.
Right. that can be a little dangerous as well, though.
It can be, but in this aspect, you know, it's like he really, one thing you never really had to worry about with him was we never went without. He always was working. You know, you didn't have to worry about, not always, but you know, he was just putting in that, he was willing to put in that work. He was not afraid of hard work, and he was not afraid to. He held himself to a certain standard. Also, that was a thing. It's like sometimes, you know, his morals were a little, but he held himself to a damn standard. Like when he stepped out, he was fucking clean. It's like when we, you know, he made sure that we were very respectful to every, you know, to other people around us. If we walked out, we were gonna be respectful. This is how we are. This is what we represent. This is what we present to the world. It was no, there was no wishy-washy in that. No, this is who the fuck we are.
Yeah.
You are gonna respect these people. You're gonna show them respect. You're gonna show me respect. You're gonna show your mother respect. You're gonna show these other people respect, places military. You're gonna, yes sir, no ma'am. This is how we move.
People who,
no qualms about it. This is just how we move, and it set a standard for all of us.
Yeah.
That is like, if you drop below that standard, you know you're gonna catch hell.
Right.
So you just kept that standard, but that standard was so high that it made a lot of those other situations. People would be like, your kids are just fucking amazing. It's like they're, you know, they're respectful, they're well behaved, they're work,
scared.
They're not afraid of that too.
They're scared. They're scared, like,
but scared straight.
Right.
It's like, but because of that and the way we moved in this world, is like, I've gotten so many compliments off of that kind of stuff. It's like, man, you work your ass off, bro. It's like you know, you put in that. Travis is a fucking hard worker, man. He will do the job and do it to a certain standard. It's like don't half-ass something.
Right.
He drilled that into us. It's like, you don't have, if you're gonna do something, fucking do it. It's like, so there was that certain dynamic. So like I said, that thing he built himself and probably came from a lot of his past, got distilled into us. Sometimes, maybe not in the best of ways at times, but it did build me into the man that I am, to where people, you know, experience me in a certain type of way in this world.
Yeah.
And with, you know, with my dad being the investigator, one, it taught me how to, it taught me how to have that conversation. You know, because one thing about him, he could talk his ass off. You know, very charismatic dude. You know, to a certain extent, but he could talk. I mean, just talk to a fucking stranger at a gas station, you know, maybe a 10-minute conversation, but you left having, you kind of had a good feeling, like, oh yeah, that wasn't a bad conversation. Yeah, that was kind of cool, you know. But so he had that. He could just talk. He had the gift of gab, and I definitely got that from him, being able to
My dad
talk.
was like that too. I mean, people. It was more, from what I could see, it was people who were coming to him for stuff, and it was like, hey, I need help with this. How can you help me? And he was like, well, what do you need? And then that turned into a whole hour and a half conversation. And I'm just like, bro, can we go? But it taught me that you become valuable by offering value to people, and by investigating what their needs are. And people are doing this all over the internet, because they're sitting down and having conversations like this and figuring out what's the need that people are trying to fulfill, or where can I help them to help me get my resources and my money and however I want to kind of run my life.
Yeah, so I mean, the whole reason we started this was to, you know, we saw there was a need there, and it's like, well, maybe we can fill that. Yeah, I think we have the tools to fill that. Let's try. Yeah.
So to wrap this episode up, like we said, I would say our action items are: figure out which one of these styles kind of you are, your parents are, at least your parents, because that gives you an idea of kind of where you're coming from genetically. But again, just realize that these are control dramas that people are living out that they may not even be aware of. So you have to, once you become aware of what's going on with you, you then have to take everybody else with a grain of salt, because you are now on the path of mastering your thoughts, emotions, and actions, so that you can be the best person that you are. Not everybody else is playing that game. Yeah. So it's, you gotta take everything with a grain of salt and just be like, all right, well, this person might just be on a loop that they have no idea that's happening right now. And I just need to be able to control what I'm controlling and kind of go about your day. So these don't have to be necessarily wholly negative traits. You just need to be aware of how they fit into the pattern of your life. If you are intimidating, the thing I was going to say, I didn't mean to try to cut you off.
No, you're good.
But the thing I was going to say was people who are either trying to get their shit together or have their shit together are intimidating because they will not fall
or
for the
need
bullshit.
an intimidator sometimes. Sometimes you need that person that's like, hey, get a kick in the ass.
If you need a life coach or a fitness coach, these are intimidators because they're trying to get you to do the thing that you want to do to get you where you're trying to go. And for interrogator, you're just an investigator. You're trying to fill a need or answer a question that maybe most people don't have an answer to or can't find an answer to. And by doing the digging, you also find the information. Like we talk about knowledge itself, all the time. So that's digging into yourself, investigating who I am, why am I like this, what are my flaws, what are my control dramas, how can I fix it, how can I be better. Just doing it for yourself. So you in one way or another, you are all these things and you are none of them. So just kind of be aware of how these things fall into your environment.
Yeah, and one good thing about knowing this information is it helps you in your dealings with other people. You begin to start to identify the different types of control dramas and personalities that you're dealing with. It's like, okay, this person's pretty aloof. It's like, oh, that dude's deaf. He's obviously an intimidator. It's like, okay, so if I know he's an intimidator, I know she's aloof. How do I deal with them now?
Right.
It's like, if I have to interact with you, it's like, how do I interact with you? Even your parents. It's like when I read this book, my relationship with my mom changed because I actually really started having real conversation with her. I actually called her out on being aloof. I was like, yeah, I was reading this book and da 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 da. I said, I ran across the fact that I'm aloof in this situation. Do you think you're aloof? Why? I was like, oh, you are.
What do you think? Just stop right there. I got you. Don't even waste your breath. This is what you are.
Sorry, not sorry. Yes,
right,
you are.
Right.
It's like, but in talking to her about that, I've started to notice there's a change in her. She and I have much deeper conversations now after having that baseline conversation where it gave her time to think, like, oh, maybe that's true. I did do that. I do that like that. And it really, if the more you work on yourself with some of these things, the more a lot of times you're able to, one, use this and identify the people, but sometimes use that to help other people. He's like, okay, this person's like this, so I need to deal with them like this. This guy's like this, maybe he doesn't know maybe he doesn't know he's coming off like an intimidator. It's like, bro, it's like, man, you know that you're kind of coming off a certain kind of way with people, right? What are you talking about? It's like, I'm talking about that right there that you just did. Oh shit.
Right.
Must be something, because like I said, some people don't even know they're in this loop and have no idea that they're on this hamster wheel.
Right. Perfect example when you were saying, so we're talking about being a warrior. Know your enemy, or if you know yourself, you know your enemy. Yeah. And you will. I'm gonna butcher.
You will win 1,000 battles.
Yeah, you will
never lose 1,000 battles.
Yeah, you'll never lose 1,000 battles. So what that comes down to are these principles. If you know what triggers you and you know how somebody else is, you then know how to adapt because you know what it's like to be like, oh, woe is me. You know what it's like to be investigating or an intimidator or aloof. Now you can be like, all right, I'm either going to choose to judo this person's energy, not play at all, or just observe it and kind of go about my day. It gives you a roadmap to navigate the world and only be a part of the situations that you want to be a part of or that you can help to be a part of.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's like I've told people plenty of times. It's like even with the intimidator, and it's a perfect example. It's like you can't argue with a brick. You're only going to argue with a brick wall so long.
Right.
So if you're intimidating me, it's like oh, I'm not giving you anything.
Right.
It's like I'm gonna go aloof. I'm gonna be like
This is fun, right?
It's like yeah, you're only gonna do this so long with me. And then I'll probably call you. I'll be like, bro, you good? Huh? What? Huh? What? Yeah. Throw you off your curve.
You can see the light leave
because you're expecting me to come back at you like I'll be like, it's like, bro, you good? You need a hug?
Right. You see the light drain from their eye. Like if you're talking to somebody, you start yelling, like cashiers and shit. Once you start yelling, you just see just like
yeah,
like that's their energy leaving to either come to you or that's them shutting it off completely. That wall. It's just like, you know what? Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, yeah. You ever seen those shows where like the lady's at the counter and just like, well, I need this. Well, I'm on lunch, and she pulls down the window. Right. It's that same thing. Right. It's like a lot of it's that same thing. Or if you know somebody's being aloof and you don't keep digging with them, you're just like, it's like okay.
Right.
You play aloof too, be like, so we're just gonna sit here looking at each other, I guess.
Right.
It's like, and eventually they'd be like,
right. Somebody say something. You say
Yeah.
something.
It's like, so
yeah.
you start figuring out what the dynamics are with
Mhm.
these things and how you need to move based off of what you're finding, not only about yourself but about the world around you.
Right. So we have covered the first two control dramas of the Celestine Prophecy. The next episode, we're going to follow get into the next two, which is aloofness and oh woe was me. So make sure to check out that part two coming soon, and check us out on all platforms. We are Warriors Way Home everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Apple Music.
So Apple Music, also Spotify, Amazon Music as well. So yeah, and YouTube Music as well has podcasts now. So if you didn't know
Just
that,
the audio section.
YouTube Music, actually you can find the podcast there as well.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you can find us everywhere. And remember, guys, we are just trying to adopt that whole well-rounded warrior mindset for the modern world, because it's better to be a warrior in a garden
than a gardener in a war.
See you guys next time.
Take it easy.